Alright, what's up guys? We are up against SSX. Talk about these guys every time we match them. We really like them. This is war number 5. Heading into this war, we are 1-3. Hoping to get a dub here. And I actually planned this war. So, Lizer... Well, I don't know how much she would want me to say. But basically, Lizer was unavailable supporting her daughter, who was doing something very cool, and the entire family was involved and all that stuff, so she was unavailable to plan this war, and I was like, I'm happy to plan this war, absolutely. It was a Saturday war as well, which was really the only scenario in which I would be able to help plan, at this point going forward, at least for the time being. So anyway, pretty funny just a nice funny coincidence to plan a war against SSX. So these guys, they have really smart people over there. DLL and Campo are, I believe, the two officers, or at least two of the officers in BG3, in their BG3. Both very smart guys, and both have awesome channels themselves. I'll try to remember to link that in the description below, link both of their channels. But here we have a little issue. When I was planning, I wrote myself in to take that Hulkbuster mini-boss on Conflictor with Magneto. And here I'm like, where the hell is my Magneto? My red Magneto. He is on defense. Whoops, okay. So again, that's something that I would typically catch if I was planning full-time, but obviously that's not something that I can do at this point, and frankly, I don't pay too much attention to my defenders. I just make sure that I place the right ones, and that's it. So just, totally forgot. I go back in the map thinking that I'm going to scout, try to figure out a different alternative, and I'm like, oh, I'll just bring my newly ranked 4 Dr. Doom. He should be fine there. And that was... I don't know. That was a mistake, I think. But anyway, we'll get to there. Alright, so my first fight here is this Terrax on Path 4. I can't remember what all the little nodes are on this fight, but I think you get like weaknesses and, I don't know. But this path does have a heal block buff, I believe, or debuff, I mean. And I really like taking Shang-Chi down this path, but, CGR is just, he's going to be totally fine. You guys are going to see how silly this fight is with him. And obviously I wanted to use CGR for several other fights. So, yeah, so anyway, let's just take our time boosting. I talked a little bit about this in the last war video, but... I'm really trying to never underboost, but also be just a little bit more methodical and just a little bit smarter with the boost that I do use. My 2 main attackers this season have been Apocalypse, whom I've never died with at rank 4, and CGR, who... Again, I obviously had that issue with Nova, but, I mean, he ends fights so fast, you can just see this. It's just hilarious. You don't need to overdo it. Really, the boosts for these 2 attackers are just, in case of calamity. And, in some fights, just having that extra health and stuff like that. But I'm so low on the big boosts, and I'm trying to not just spend a bunch of money on this game that, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a struggle to, to decide which boost to use, and obviously don't want to shortchange myself or the battle group. But, alright, so I am taking this rank 4 Apocalypse. It is so sad for me to see a rank 4 Apocalypse on defense. He's just such an insane attacker. But this is Strands, 4Loki alum, a very good guy. He also has a channel. And alright, so here's my plan. Now this is not the best matchup here. You guys can see that I'm losing power, and that's because of, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Basically, when I gain a buff, I lose power. So I just buckle up, reparry there. I'm going to throw my SP2. I know that he's not going to get to 3 bars, and I just need to recycle this SP2, and he goes down. I did that once in the off season. I did that once earlier this season as well, I believe. Maybe it was just that once in the off season. I can't remember, but I had done that fight before. I was at least comfortable enough to do it, and I just didn't want... I could have used Dr. Doom there. He would have been a great option. I knew that I could get through that fight very fast with CGR as long as I could kind of play around the power shenanigans there. So, probably a little bit too risky. I would probably not take that matchup again because, again, you guys saw how risky it was. If Apocalypse decided to throw a special, I would have had to dex it, then I would have been shocked, or take it on the block, and then you have to deal with, the blocking node BS. So anyway, this fight, just this node in general, is typically really good for Nebula because it has live wire, cutting wires, or some silly shock stuff, and I think it's got chitinous thorns. And if you're using a robot attacker instead of the bleeds, you'll get shocked, and Nebula's immune to both. So anyway, just kind of a funny interaction there, but typically she's good for almost any fight there. Alright, now I am going to change my masteries because my next 2 fights, or no, 2 of my next 3 fights are Doom fights, including the Hulkbuster fight, and in between those I will be taking an Omega Sentinel with Nebula on Buffet, and I'm sure you guys have seen it with other channels. In fact, I think that Campo uses Nebula quite a bit, and he has taken that fight in particular, I'm pretty sure, and I'm also pretty certain, it has been about a week and a half since this war, but I'm pretty certain that I referenced his war video for that placement, and just to give myself a little visual reference on how to approach the Omega Sentinel fight. We'll get to that when we roll up to the fight. But all right, so this one is Explosive Personality, and Venom, obviously he is a global defender, but it's not going to matter with Doom. I am just going to... He starts with an armor, so I'm paying attention there. He gets the Unstoppable. So I'm just going to start off with the heavy there just to stagger him a little bit. And yeah, from here it's just a standard Doom cycle fight. There he does get his Unstoppable armor. I guess I'm lucky that he didn't punish, but I would have been fine even if he had. And this is meta, by the way. I don't think that I noticed that. But yeah, meta also for Loki alum. One of my favorite people in the MCOC community. To my knowledge, doesn't have a YouTube channel, but just really good dude. So we really love matching SSX because we're literally almost every other fight we're either dying to or beating the ass of one of our buddies, and it's a good feeling if you're doing the latter. Okay, so just gonna throw this SP2, fight over, pretty easy. Alright, now we've got the Omega Sentinel fight, and I'm using Nebula, of course. Now this node, it's got Buffet, but it's also got Strike Counter. What is it called? Combat Power Rate or something like that. So essentially, if I'm not following the Strike Counter prompts, then I can start to, I'll gain a passive, power reduction thing, and then I can't gain power. In this fight, it doesn't matter at all. Number one, I can completely bypass the node as long as I'm at 10 or more amp charges, and secondly, I'm not going to be throwing any specials in this fight at all, I don't think. I could be misremembering this node, or mixing this node up with an Omega Sentinel that I took on node 53 at some point in this season, I think later in the season. But I'm pretty sure I never used a special. It was just straight up play stun immune and then full combo. So the first order action here is just to charge up to 10 amp charges. We can do that by holding our block, obviously. And At 10, robots have their ability accuracy reduced by 100%. So as long as, if I parry here, I'll transfer the shocks and I'll lose those amp charges. So I just want to play stun immune and bait out the SP1. I'm going to block the bubbles, and throughout this fight, I'm going to try to get out of the way of the melee version or melee component of her SP1. Sometimes I get locked in the animation like these first two, and then after this, I think I'm fine. But I think that I might actually throw an SP3 here. I just can't remember. But I mean, you guys can see that it's very safe. It's going well. This is my last Nebula fight, regardless. And, you know, the name of the game for Alliance War, I've said this before, it's probably been a little while, but it's just as safe as possible. So I know with absolute certainty that it's impossible for me to lose this fight if I continue what I'm doing and don't make a mistake. And it's pretty damn easy to not make a mistake when you're playing stun immune and you're just punishing a pretty easily avoidable SB1 animation with a full combo. I mean, it's as basic as it gets. Before you ever get the parry mastery when you're doing the training or whatever, this is how you play it. Like, it's just that easy. So I'm just going to stick with this plan. I think that it would probably, like, the optimal way to approach this fight would be to throw the SP3. Then I can maintain amp charges, but also shock the defender, just get them down faster, but, you know, who cares, right? So we knew going into this war it was going to be a pretty close war anyway, and, you know, time, we have lost some ties over the last couple seasons on fight duration, which is something I think as our planners are definitely aware of. But we also know, like, it's really just about execution, and fight duration shouldn't matter if we're just getting through our fights without dying. We're just being smart. So anyway, okay, speaking of preparation, being smart, all those things that I talk about. You know, I know that this is going to be a pain in the ass fight. And my approach in this fight, it was just completely off. So I know that Hulkbuster, you know, obviously we've got the shocks that I've got to contend with in Conflictor. I've got to alternate my combo hits so that he doesn't build prowess. And for each armor, he's going to lower my ability accuracy. And there, I take an SP1 right out of the gate. I lose all 3 of my indestructibles. I take an extra combo just for good measure. He's got a prowess. I'm throwing my medium attacks. There you guys can see he's just absolutely destroying me on the block. There I get caught with by the global. I'm going to throw my SP3 here. I don't know how many armors he has at this point. I forgot to look right before that animation, but it's going to reduce my ability accuracy. And you guys are going to see I'm going to come out of this fight and, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm not stunned at all. So, like, he just had 1 armor, too, which is, I mean, so I got pretty unlucky, but at the same time, like, just look at what I'm doing everything wrong in this fight. This was just an awful approach. You know, it's embarrassing, but, like, I have to call myself out. I can't be a hypocrite, right? And my biggest criticism of people in general, whether I'm planning for them or, you know, whatever, is always like, you know, you need to focus more and plan better and prepare for your fights. You need to know everything that's going to happen in your fight. You need to understand every interaction. And here I am, just completely, you know, just ignoring, like, really the only one thing that I ever get, like, irritated about. You know, people die all the time. That is going to happen. That's not a big deal. But you just have to prep better. So anyway, it is really embarrassing, honestly. And I'm ashamed. It's an awful example. I know I'm not an officer anymore, but it's just such an awful example. Anyway, I'm like having the feelings that I had after this fight all over again, and it's I forgot how much I didn't want to feel this anymore. But anyway, all right. So, while I continue to get my ass kicked here, and I am going to die, in my second fight ever with my rank 2 Dr. Doom. Jesus, what a loser. Anyway. Alright, so here's the approach if you're going to use Doom, which I don't recommend anyway. You definitely need guidance so that your parry stuns don't count for Conflictor, or don't, feed Conflictor. And then you just want to parry light, heavy, the entire time. Parry, light, heavy. You're going to be able to stagger his armors. You'll never trigger Conflictor because you're not throwing mediums, which inflict shock. So parry, light, heavy. Parry, light, heavy the entire time. I would probably do parry, light, heavy, and maybe SP2, even though it does inflict incinerate, so I'm not sure how that would work. Honestly, it's going to be okay if you just do parry, light, heavy the entire fight. It would just take a while with Dr. Doom. But yeah, here you guys can see I'm just chilling on the screen, just absolutely fucking aghast at what I just did. And of course, immediately after that, I realize, wow, I just can't believe I betrayed everything that I've ever talked about. And that was embarrassing. It's going to be a rough one to show everybody in 4 Loki, but that's how we roll. So anyway, a little insult to injury. We did lose this war. We lost it by 1. We lost it 8-9. I do believe that they would have beat us on time had I soloed that fight, but still feels like I lost us the war. And again, just being completely hypocritical of what I always talk about is really just pretty shameful. So anyway, I will never make that mistake again. Every single fight I go into, I'm going to know every fucking little layer that can possibly happen in that fight. I'm not entering a fight until I understand or have exhausted all those options. So anyway, that's the takeaway. And guess what, guys? Since I got my ass beat and I learned that really, really hard, embarrassing lesson, you don't have to. So just take it from me. Before you go into a fight, ask yourself, what can go wrong? What are all the interactions that I need to understand? And make sure that you understand them and prepare for the worst case scenario. If you do that, honestly, you can never die in war. It's definitely possible. That's it for the video. Leave a like and a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one.